CIS Touchdown on SSN. Brought to you in part by Desjardins, Mitsubishi Motors, BlackBerry, Wilson Sports Equipment of Canada, and by the 2009 Desjardins Venue Cup, November 28th in Quebec City.
I'm Communications Manager for CIS. Je suis le gérant des communications pour le bureau de SIC à Ottawa. We're going to keep it short and sweet for you guys today. Laval is practicing at 1:15, so we just want to make sure the Coach Constantin won't be too happy with me if I keep him here too long. So the coaches are going to talk a little bit about their teams. Glenn is going to go first, followed by Coach Pat Sheehan. They each brought a couple of players, so they're going to introduce their players, take a couple of questions from the floor, and then we're going to move to one-on-ones. Alors, les deux entraîneurs vont parler de leur équipe, prendre quelques questions du plancher, et suite à quoi nous aurons la possibilité d'entrevue individuelle. So, Glenn, do you want to go first and talk a little bit about your team, what do you know about Queens, and introduce the player that you brought today?
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, on behalf of Laval University, we're extremely pleased and honored to be here at Queen's University. We haven't been here since the year 2000, I believe. It's always a pleasure. I played in the old QIFC in the past, so Queens was a major rival of ours at the University of Ottawa. So it's a pleasure to be back here. It's a great football tradition, and I just it's a very well coached football team, headed by Coach Sheehan. Obviously, I know Coach Sheehan from back in Montreal. I think we met when I was 18 years old, so that's like 10 years ago, I guess. They're just
I wish.
He's a coach, he's a friend, he's a mentor of mine, and I always remember when he took the job at Concordia, leaving McGill, and he said he was going to make Concordia the class of Montreal, and he certainly has done that. And obviously, the job here at Queens has been tremendous. He's put Queens on top of the OUA, and it's an outstanding job. And just want to congratulate him again for his Coach of the Year last year and an outstanding speech. So he did a great job. The defense is very well coached. By Pat Tracy. Pat's become a friend of mine. I hired him as Team Canada. Did an outstanding job for us, and won the national. the World Championship. It's a great football tradition. It's a well coached team, classy team, and obviously from what we see on film is it's a team that executes very well. A smart football team. Offensively, led by a great quarterback, great execution with the receivers, and very good protection. So obviously it has all the elements to be a great offense for us to defend. Defensively, it's kind of schizophrenic because they seem to change every game. They're a man team, they're a zone team. Their personnel seems to swap places. So obviously they do scheme, and I know Pat does scheme and does an outstanding job. So we have a major challenge on our hands. We are fortunate to have a healthy football team. Our kids are prepared, traveled well. Things are going fairly well for us, and we're looking for an outstanding football game. It should be a high-powered offenses on both sides of the field. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, it doesn't turn out to be a 43-39 shootout. That's what we're looking for, but it might end up that way. So. We're pleased and honored to be here, and obviously, if you're going to be a champion, you need to beat the champions, and we're come here to play our best football of the year. So, and I've introduced our head crate nominee for our conference and our quarterback, our fifth-year senior, who's done an outstanding job. He's got a outstanding career for us, Benoît Gault.
Bonjour tout le monde. Au nom de l'Université Queens, je voudrais vous souhaiter la bienvenue ici à Kingston pour cet événement. C'est le championnat en demi-finale du Canada. Le football team, l'équipe de football à Queens est très fière à représenter Ontario dans ce match-là contre les Rouges de Laval. Comme Glenn a expliqué et beaucoup d'autres, l'équipe à Laval, c'est très, très fort. C'est une équipe avec bonne balance côté défensif et offensif. À la carrière, c'est un joueur extraordinaire. C'est comme un autre entraîneur au terrain de football. L'équipe défensive ont beaucoup de talent. La ligne défensive, c'est très fort. Les secondaires sont forts aussi. Et puis, la tertiaire, c'est très fort aussi. C'est un gros défi pour nous autres demain. Offensivement, le porteur de ballon, Lévesque, numéro 15, c'est un joueur extraordinaire. C'est une bonne ligne offensive, un bon groupe de receveurs. Et puis le batteur, numéro 19, Chris Milo ou Milo, ça dépend. C'est un bon joueur aussi. Et puis, je voudrais dire, je connais bien depuis 18 ans. Je l'ai vu pour toute sa vie comme joueur, comme entraîneur. Je suis très fier de lui. C'est un beau gars, un gars de classe. Et puis, présentement, le job qu'il a fait à Laval, c'est extraordinaire. Et puis, il y a des raisons. Ils sont numéro 1 au Canada présentement. Et pour nous autres, c'est un gros défi demain, mais c'est un plaisir à compétitionner contre Laval. When I was asked how I felt about playing against the Rouge this week, of course, the last time I played against the Rouge in a conference final, it took 2 days. So I immediately went down and spoke to the stadium staff and asked them how the lights were, okay? Because I don't think we want to stretch this game over 2 days. We'd like to get it done tomorrow if we could. I think Glenn would probably agree. That was an interesting memory. So I was there when the Rouge really sort of came of age. We played them. They were an outstanding team in '98. They just sort of stepped up and became a national player at that point, and we were fortunate enough to beat them in the league final. And then in 1999, we're eliminated by them in a year when they went on and won their first Vanier Cup. And then there's been no looking back for them. They're a tremendous club, and they are well coached. They've got tremendous discipline, and Glenn and his staff has done a magnificent job. I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of my former players, Marc Fortier, All-Canadian free safety at Concordia, is now the defensive coordinator there. And my good friend Carl Brennan, who's there also. Justin Attier, former student at Concordia, is also coaching with Glenn, and he's done a tremendous job. He's got a great staff there. They do terrific work, and it's no accident that they are the #1 team in the country right now. It's a credit to him and all the hard work that they've put into it. Benoit Gru is an outstanding player. He's another coach on the field. We're going to try our best to make things uncomfortable for him tomorrow. Nothing personal. It's all business. And I'm sure that Glenn and his compatriots will try and do the same for us as well. It's more blessed to give than to receive. Okay.
How important is it to stop the ground game tomorrow?
Well, I think it's critical, as I said. I mean, Montreal beat Laval by shutting them down to 60 yards rushing the day they beat them in Montreal, and and the passing game ended up being about even. It was when a person gets beat on a pass, I mean, it's quite typically one defender who gets taken advantage of, but when you run the football, you got to run through the entire defense. And I know Glenn's philosophy. Glenn does not. He's very stingy on the run. As a matter of fact, I would accuse him of being. He's a guy who does not want your opponent to run the football on him, and he takes measures to make that happen. We have to do the same. Sébastien Lévesque is an excellent football player. He's one of the best, if not the best, ball carriers in the league right now across the country. When he gets rolling, of course, he ignites his team, and being able to run the ball and cram it down your throat is not a good thing in a big football game. So we have a big challenge to stop the run, and then force them to plan B.